3. An hour later, Wayne pulled into the unpaved parking lot of a rundown two-pump service station called Pedlar Gas Mart. Maxine wondered if Pedlar was someone's last name, or if the owner was too fucking stupid to know how to spell peddler. Out here in the country, it was a coin toss. Wayne parked in front of the pumps, and he and Maxine got out. "Hurry it up," he called out over his shoulder as he headed for the station. "We aren't going to be long in there." He took off his sunglasses and hung them in the front of his shirt. Maxine hurried up to catch up with him. The station's doors were propped open. Inside, it was dusty, cluttered, and lit by buzzing fluorescent lights. A middle-aged blonde woman stood behind the counter, watching a program on a small TV. Wayne grabbed a wire basket from the stack on the floor, then headed down the aisle. Maxine followed in his wake, straightening various items on the shelves. She liked things to look neat. Wayne spoke absent-mindedly as he shopped. "If this kid I picked up from the university can put my movie together like he says, our days of struggling may soon be over. We do even half the numbers of Debbie Does Dallas, and I'm out of the red for good." The topless car wash wasn't the only failed business venture of Wayne's. He was always coming up with new ideas for making money, but none of them ever seemed to work out, and it didn't help his financial situation that he was fond of gambling and goddamn good at losing. "Hell, let's make a picture a week then," Maxine said. Wayne opened a cooler, took out 2 chub packs of bologna, and put them in the basket. "Patience, darling." "I've been being patient my whole life." Wayne noticed the clerk sneaking glances at Maxine. He was used to this. Everywhere they went, people stared at Maxine, caught in the spell she unconsciously wove as she moved through the world, fascinated by her, enthralled, without knowing exactly why. People simply had to look at her. That quality was impossible to quantify, which was why Wayne called it her X factor. It was the result of many different things working together, the sum far greater than its parts, and the way she moved, sometimes with the carefree abandon of a child, other times with the supple grace of a cat, sometimes with a mesmerizing blend of both. How'd she'd part her full, pouty lips ever so slightly, as if promising a kiss that might never come. But most of all, it was in the depths of her warm brown eyes. When she looked at you, really looked at you, you could feel her reaching out to the core of your being, connecting with you on the most primal level, and in that instant, you knew you'd do anything for her. Anything. She stopped before a magazine rack and picked up a copy of High Society. Linda Carter was on the cover, dressed as Wonder Woman, an American flag draped over her shoulders. Maxine kept her eyes on the cover as she continued following Wayne. "Well, that's the thing about being patient," he said. "I need to be famous, Wayne. I'm ready for the high life. I'm sick and tired of never getting what I want." Wayne grabbed a jar of mayonnaise from a shelf, added it to the basket, then turned to look at Maxine. "You help me keep these jokers out there in line," he said, "and I'll make sure you get everything your heart desires." "You better had. I don't want to worry no more. I deserve nice things. I have cosmopolitan taste." "Don't I know it?" he said. "I mean it. I want the whole world to know my name." She looked down, suddenly sheepish. "Like Linda Carter or some shit." That was her American dream. Wayne turned to look at her and spoke in a soothing voice. "Trust me. Everyone with the pulse is gonna lust after a piece of Maxine Minx once they see what you... Pop, pop, pop. Trust me. Everyone with the pulse is gonna lust after a piece of Maxine Minx once they see what you can do. You know why?" She smiled, stepped closer to him, swayed from side to side. "Why?" she asked softly. "'Cause you got that X factor." She leaned forward, kissed him quick, and stepped back. "Fucking A right," she said. Wayne walked past her, giving her ass a smack as he went. "Now mosey over there and grab me some Wonder Bread, Wonder Woman," he said. Smiling, Maxine walked to the end of the aisle where the bread was displayed. She picked up a loaf and then turned toward the open doorway. Outside, Bobby Lynn leaned against the van, perusing her script, while Lorraine stood by the rear of the vehicle, wearing a pair of headphones and fiddling with the boom mic. She scowled. "Creepy little bitch." "I don't like RJ's girlfriend," she said. "You don't like anybody's girlfriend," Wayne said. Maxine walked back down the aisle, to him and dropped the bread in the basket. She hardly says a word. She just stares at everyone. She's shy, Wayne said. Probably ain't never seen anybody like us before. Maxine knew it was more than that, though. Lorraine looked at them as if they were slimy, scaly creatures from some other planet. People who stare give me the heebie-jeebies. Wayne chuckled. Better get used to it if you're going to be in the movies. Bobby Lynn stood outside in the sun and heat, sunglasses on, open script in hand. A lot of people hated summer in Texas, but she loved it. The hotter the better as far as she was concerned. If she could get away with it, she would walk around naked all summer long, luxuriating in the warmth like a cat. It was sad that people were so hung up on nudity. What was the big fucking deal? Everyone was born naked, weren't they? It was the most natural thing in the world. Wayne, God love him, was the cheapest bastard she'd ever met. While he and Maxine were inside buying supplies for the next couple of days, the rest of them were supposed to stay outside and get a jump on filming. Time is money, Wayne always said, like it was his mantra. They were even going to use Wayne's van in the film to save money. The fact that it said plowing service on both sides made it perfect for a porno. Jackson, wearing sunglasses and a powder blue leisure suit to match his pants, stood next to one of the pumps. Bobby Lynn thought he looked sexy as hell, and she wondered if she could convince Wayne to let Jackson wear those sunglasses when he fucked her on camera. She skimmed through the script and found the sex scenes to be on the vanilla side. The sunglasses might add a little bit of welcome spice. RJ crouched next to the van, checking the settings on the movie camera, while Lorraine stood near the trunk. Headphones on, boom control box hanging from her shoulder, boom mic in hand. Bobby Lynn hadn't met the girl before this morning, and they hadn't exchanged more than a couple words since then. The poor thing seemed a little lost, so Bobby Lynn decided to chat with her a bit. She walked over to Lorraine and nodded at RJ. Your boyfriend's a little cute. You help him with all his films? Lorraine's expression and voice were both neutral as she replied, Sometimes, yeah. The girl looked at Jackson. Is that your boyfriend? She asked. Bobby Lynn smiled. Sometimes, yeah. She glanced down at her script. Jackson's character didn't stop for gas until scene 4, so why was this the first scene they were shooting? She looked up and called to RJ. Hey, how come you don't gotta film none of this in order? He turned to look at her. Once I have it all in the can, I can rearrange it any way I like. No shit. I actually intend on experimenting a lot with the film's editing, give it a certain sense of the avant-garde, like they're doing in France. It's classier that way, and a good trick to disguise the low budget. Bobby Lynn was impressed. The boy had put a lot of thought into what was essentially a simple fuck film. Still crouching, RJ turned back to Jackson. Lorraine lifted the mic and stepped up behind RJ, ready to record. All right, RJ said to Jackson. Let's slate it. Jackson picked up the slate off the ground and held it in front of his chest, displaying the information RJ had written on it. Scene 4. Take 1. Sound. Roll 1. Prod. The Farmer's Daughters. Director. RJ Nichols. Camera. RJ Nichols. Date. 7/30/79. And hit it, RJ said. Jackson clapped the slate stick, put it back on the ground, and straightened. All right, go ahead and fill her up, RJ said. Jackson reached for the gas pump. RJ watched through the lens as he filmed, and Lorraine held the boom mic high and steady. You know, Bobby Lynn said, if you tilt the camera up from the nozzle, it'll look like he's using his cock. RJ looked thoughtfully for a moment, then did as Bobby Lynn suggested. Jackson stepped a little closer to the van to help create the illusion that he had inserted his penis into the vehicle's gas tank. RJ started filming again. He focused on the nozzle, perfectly aligned with Jackson's crotch, then panned upward to show Jackson's head tilted back, mouth open. RJ stopped filming, turned to Bobby Lynn and smiled. She smiled back, imagining she was watching the scene in a porno theater, the kind with sticky floors and sticky seats. See? I got good sense, too. Maxine and Wayne approached the cash register. The clerk looked away from the TV screen and without a word began ringing them up. Milk, cornflakes, bologna, bread, mayo, 3 6-packs of beer, bottles of soda, a bag of potato chips, and Maxine's High Society magazine. Maxine glanced at the TV, and when she saw the program was on a man preaching to a group of worshippers, she felt a flutter of nausea and quickly looked away. When Wayne had said they'd be making their movie out in the country, she hadn't thought they'd be coming this far east. It made her nervous. She didn't like being so close to him. How come we couldn't do the filming back in Houston? She asked Wayne. Ain't they got plenty of farms? This county raised property taxes, Wayne said, paying for the groceries. A little bit of cash goes a long way out here. Most older folks can't compete with the bigger outfits no more. He nodded to a bulletin board on the wall by the register. We're not the only ones trying to make a buck. Maxine looked at the bulletin board. It was covered with advertisements handwritten on scraps of paper. Stove for sale. Land for rent. Dirt for sale. Call Jim. There were other types of notices, too. Reward up to $100. Poachers beware, we will find you. You will be shot, along with the black and white picture of a cow. Learn the truth. Armageddon is upon us. Are you prepared? There were several missing persons notices as well, and seeing them gave Maxine a chill. The words of the man on the TV seemed to echo her thoughts. Kidnappers, murderers, and sex fiends, all the result of our increasingly secular society. Turn away from the temptations now or expect no mercy. Remember what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah? She nearly jumped when Wayne started speaking again. Besides, it ain't exactly something I want to advertise around town. You know how some people can get when it comes to sex. The clerk's head jerked in their direction at the moment of the word sex, and Wayne gave her a wink. Her eyes narrowed with suspicion, and she bagged the groceries. As the woman worked, the preacher's words echoed in Maxine's mind. Kidnappers, murderers, sex fiends. The others were packing up when Wayne walked out of the store. Bobby Lynn was leaning on the hood of the van, drinking in the sunshine. Got what we needed? Wayne asked. RJ grinned. Oh, I got it. Good man, Wayne thought. If they could keep it up like this, they'd have their movie finished before they knew it. That was good. Wayne didn't like closing Bayou Burlesque even on a Monday or a Tuesday. The club might not have been bringing in much money, but it still brought in some, and money was money. Thanks to the help from yours truly, said Bobby Lynn. You have my smokes? Yes, goddamn. This woman and her fucking cigarettes. She wasn't happy unless she had a coffin nail between her lips or a hard dick between her legs. He reached into the bag and removed a pack of cigarettes. Maxine came out of the store carrying a sack of groceries in one hand and holding an open bottle of Coke in the other. She took a long drink as she headed for the van. I'm just asking, Bobby Lynn said. If I'm going to be having sex for you, I need cigarettes. Wayne lowered his voice. How's the script? He asked. Wayne had been driving when RJ passed out the script, so he hadn't had a chance to read it yet. Besides, he wasn't much of a reader. Bobby Lynn was, though. And more than that, she had a savvy head when it came to business. Not as good as his, of course, but he trusted her opinion. I don't know. It's all right, she shrugged. Does it even matter? Wayne's features hardened, and he leaned his head towards Bobby Lynn. Hey, I don't want to wear a hard hat to make a living, he said. Do you? Bobby Lynn's voice was soft, and as she answered, no. Wayne pointed a finger at her. Then don't you be bringing down the vibe of my investments. Negativity attracts negative results. He tossed her the cigarettes, and when she caught them, she examined the pack and said, Winston's. You know I only smoke Old Golds. Jesus, give me strength. He opened the driver's side door and climbed in. That's all they had, Bobby Lynn. I'm calling my agent, she shouted. Maxine leaned out the passenger side window. Just get back in the dang van. Bobby Lynn let out an oomph of frustration, then started walking back toward the vehicle. Her normal strut more exaggerated than usual, a sure sign she was angry. Wayne sighed. He was beginning to have second thoughts about being a movie producer. The clerk watched through a dirt-streaked window as the van drove away. Good riddance. She didn't like those sort of people, loud, low-class, and dirty-minded, although she was happy enough to take their money. She turned her attention back to the TV program. The deviants are already amongst us, hiding in plain sight, waiting for our sons and daughters. Heed thy warning and repent before it's too late. He may be a forgiving God, but every man has his limits. Every woman, too, she thought.